They are located in Davidson, North Carolina, while serving all of North and South Carolina to the Florida coast and the Tennessee mountains. They are the Mortgage Planner, the Carolina's #1 mortgage radio, premium lending experience, along with mortgage planning that builds wealth. Ranked top of the nation for over 3 generations, 3-time best-selling author, here's your host, Brad and Jacob Roche.
Welcome to The Plan. This is Brad Roche, the Mortgage Planner. 704-412-2727 your direct dial. It's a sad day. Jacob is out of the studio. He is not feeling well, but it is a good day because I got a couple special guests in with me. Brad Roche, my other son. Good morning. How are you?
Hello.
Afternoon.
Happy to be here.
First time on the radio. So this is like, what are you talking about, Dad? We're going on the radio. We got stuff to talk about. I also have Joe Hudson. How are you, brother?
Hey, doing well.
Long family friend, co-worker with me, mortgage planner extraordinaire. We're going to dig into some things today. And, both of you, we're talking about the journey is what we're going to be focused on in the home buying journey. Some people would think, is that buying the first house, buying my second house? Is it 5-10 years down the road? What's the journey? And there are 6 categories that any homeowner, home buyer, home seller goes through a journey. So the first one is first-time home buyers, and you guys both know a lot about that. Joe, we're going to bring you in early. You ready, buddy?
You ready to go?
Okay, so we're on the radio. Everybody's listening. You just bought a house, and not too long ago. How long has it been?
It's been about a year and probably 3 months or so now.
Time flies. Now, you did an interesting loan, and I love the loan you did. You did a buy down. We've talked about that on the show prior. Talk a little bit on how your financing went from the buy down standpoint. What rate did you start at?
So the original rate I was locked at is a 6.625, but for the first year I had the 2% drop. So first year I had a 4.625.
Unbelievable.
Dropped my monthly payment, probably about $400 or so for the first year. And then going
$400 for 1 year. What did you do with that? Did you get beer, bubble gum? Did you waste it? Did we save it?
Decided not to go with the beer, but decided to put it towards the next house.
Okay, so you've been saving for the next move.
Yep. So exactly. So that's more or less we got the buy down to give us a little more time for rates to drop.
What will you do with your house that you're in now? You plan to sell or do you plan to buy? Because, buying a house, you just bought a year and a half ago, let's just say, and now already talking about moving, but there's backdoor news here that you are getting married as well.
Yes, yep.
So does Mama want to move? She said, hey, honey, let's go get our own house.
Yeah, she's, I maybe made the decision on the house buying it a little bit more than she did. So I think she's ready to, move on to the next house.
Get the marital home.
Yeah, get the marital home.
The marital home.
That's what I mean. And we're kind of in the works, next 2 years, we're, hoping to have a kid here. And that's the main focus why we want to, at the next house that's going to accommodate for, a little one.
2 years to have it. Now, you got enough room in the house you have.
I do.
Okay.
Ideally speaking.
But now you'll rent this one out or you plan to sell it?
That was the plan the whole way. So, we were on a 2-year plan. So we were, once we move out of here, we're ideally going to just go ahead and rent it out. And then, maybe a few years down the line, look to sell it. But, next 5 years or so, we definitely want to hold on.
Great way to get started. That's how I got started, buying my first house and rented it out, moved to the next one. Now you're at a little different stage, Brad. And you bought a house. How long ago was that?
January, so like 8 months.
Yeah, so more recent. And you had a baby already on the way. My grandson, the pride and joy, I'm sure of yours. Yeah, Graham.
Yep.
So very cool. Grandson, my grandson.
Yeah, your
grandson Graham.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Now, you bought a house recently, new construction, totally different way to get into it. Tell me a few things, we'll start negative with you. What haven't you liked about buying the house? We talked a little bit about it. You mentioned, not having to fix something.
Yeah, being able to call a landlord is definitely
that's a disadvantage
when you rent. Yeah.
What else comes to mind that might not be as great of owning a house? This isn't where I'm going with the whole show, by the way. So if you're listening, we do encourage you to buy a house. We're not knocking this whole thing. But what else kind of caught you off guard? Maybe said, I wish I would have thought of that, or didn't, anything change?
New construction, there's a lot of houses going up around you. So, on Saturdays, you're hearing loud music of the construction workers and loud banging and early in the morning at 7. So it's
7 they start. It's like, welcome to the neighborhood. Hello, we're here. And your neighborhood is booming. Mooresville neighborhood. Both of you guys located in Mooresville right here. Now let's go a little bit further though. So lots of houses going in. Do you feel like you've had to, this is your first investment in a property. Do you feel like you have gained some equity because you're dealing with that crap? And I'm talking about the pound, the noise in the morning, 7 a.m. You think there's any grace there on maybe you got in early where these values are now going up?
Yeah, I've noticed when I check online that the prices are going up as they build new ones and are starting to sell them. And they've built them all really fast. I mean, the neighborhood's almost done, and they were probably halfway done when I moved in. So really, it's been like 6 months of
a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
6 months of a
worth
pain in the butt. Now, anything else come to mind that you didn't like about the house? So you got some pounding you got to deal with in the neighborhood, 6 months. Now, Joe, you didn't have new construction, so yours was an existing house.
Quite the opposite, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
quite the opposite, meaning what? You've had to fix some stuff you mentioned.
Luckily, I mean, it was some fix and flippers that got it before, and that's who I bought it from. But the house is 1950, I think it was originally built. There's
older
a lot.
than you, boy. That's older than you.
Yeah.
That's
older than my parents.
That's all of us put together almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I agree with Brad on kind of having to deal with a lot of things. Like had to do a new hot water heater under the house.
Did that bust out on you?
Yes.
What kind of mess? What happened?
That was the workers' problem to deal with the cleaner. But I noticed it was a trail of water outside right by my house.
What's a new water heater run nowadays?
I think it was like a 40-inch diameter, but I think it was about $2,000.
So it's not a cheap repair.
No.
And it isn't like getting in a fireplace or something you really want. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like you're spending money on the no good. So I ran a search here, and I wanted to give you some other things that people say they don't like buying a house. And then we're going to kill this segment because it's kind of depressing. But closing costs being one. Competition. Did y'all have competition? I'm not going to talk about closing costs. It's kind of part of what you have to pay buying a house. However, a new construction, a lot of times they threw in how much money in closing costs for you?
I think like 8,000.
That's what I was going to say. $8,000. What about for you?
I rolled my closing costs actually into the loan, had the sellers pay it. Increased my purchase price a little bit, but only about $40 for them to cover.
It in.
Yeah, covering $8,000 or so roughly.
Both of you, price range rise $300,000 to $400,000. Both of you got about $8,000. One new construction, one existing. That kind of takes off the number one problem most people have, which is closing costs. Next was competition. Did you feel, Brad, on yours, you had a lot of competition in the offer process?
No.
You kind of
Not
went
at all.
back and forth, no big press. How about you?
No, I was definitely during a time when it was 2023, definitely a little slower, so didn't have to deal with any multiple offers or anything like that.
I think as rates are starting to go down, the Fed came out, mentioned rates are going down. We're going to see more and more competition come up. Now, here comes an interesting one, location. So what are the complaints about buying a new house is location. You boys have been in there for 1 year. How would you rate your location? Would you have chose somewhere different?
I love the location. I'm close to a very live downtown area. But one thing I really kind of kicking the butts for was, the road's a little bit busier than we expected. And that was something we wish we did a little bit more looking into.
You're on more of a main drag than an off
Yes,
skirt
correct.
there. Anything come to mind on yours from that location-wise? Do you like where it's at?
I would say we're 10 minutes from everything. So and then grocery store is probably 5 minutes if we really need to go somewhere.
And you
get
sit
there.
back in the neighborhood, so it's a little bit softer. So traffic being a big part of it. You're listening to The Plan, 704-412-2727 is direct dial. Go to fortheplan.com, not to find the complaints, find the solutions. That's what we'll share next step when we come back. Welcome back to The Plan. This is Brad Roche, the mortgage planner, joined with Joe Hudson and Brad Roche, my son over here. What's going on, brother? You bought a new house. We went through a few complaints. Now I'm going to ask you another couple things. You had a surprise in the mail we talked about the other day. Came and shut off your water.
Oh,
You remember that? Yeah. You're like, whoa, hey, I just had
Yeah.
a baby. Did we say that? Yeah, we mentioned that. So we're going to get into that in a minute here. Baby Graham, we did mention that. But you had a surprise. Tell us about that. That wasn't very fun.
Well, I was upstairs working. Caroline was going to lunch with a friend and was taking Graham with her. And Mooresville truck came by our house and said, "Hey, we're shutting off your water."
That's not good.
Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication because we freaked out a little bit, but then
Like freaked out. Like, why, man? Were you behind on the bill? What was going on?
well, apparently an irrigation bill is separate than a regular house water bill.
Oh,
And-
that's what
That's
I
good to
wanted to
know.
talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to know,
Yeah.
right? The lessons of home ownership. So
Yeah.
you actually got a second bill coming out that you didn't even know was existing on just the outside sprinkling system.
Yeah, and it wasn't a big bill. It was like $100 or so
Yeah.
after being back a few months. But I checked my water. My water was on, so I called them, and they just said it was irrigation, and I paid it. And I guess
We're
they
good
came
now.
out an hour later and turned it back on.
Lesson learned. How's the lawn look? Good? It's okay?
It
didn't
takes
hurt it.
no.
It's looking really good.
the hour wasn't that bad.
It wasn't. Oh, it was only for an hour.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
good to go. So that's kind of now when you had the hot water heater put in for a couple grand. Now, did you have no water for a minute? No hot water?
Yeah, pretty much essentially. I didn't really know where it was coming from at first, so just shut the water off as a whole. And
How long do you have to go for no water? Day or no?
luckily, they were pretty quick. Same day they came. Yeah, originally I wasn't 100% sure. I thought maybe it was just a little rain came by and left some water outside.
Not the case.
Yeah, unfortunately not the case at all.
We had ours go out. I was looking for pain that you guys might be able to share. Ours went out a while back. It froze. You know, we have one that's outside that heats up, needs to be whatever, and it froze. Plug came out. And man, we were out of water for a couple days. You know how awful it is and how privileged we are to have water in the house. I mean, some of these things we take for granted, but I'll tell you, if, you know, some of these expenses, you know, as I'm looking through this list of things that are, you know, afterthoughts of buying a house, legal and regulatory issues, you know, navigating the regulatory issues of buying a house. You know, both of you being close to the hip here, I've done this hundreds of times. You've been involved in the business for a long time. You've been able to see a lot of that. So that may not be much. How did you all handle it? Were you freaked out, stressed out a little bit, or were your significant others a little freaked out when buying a house? It's a lot to take on. You think about buying your first house, you do realize it's over like $300,000-400,000 in debt.
Mhm.
Adding interest. You remember the piece of paper that can kind of freak out? We call it a truth in lending. It should be called a freak out form, where it totals the actual total interest with this house. And it adds up. Any freak outs?
Luckily, not with mine. I mean, I think that's a big thing when you're going into your house to be prepared for those and have money set aside for that. Because $2,000 obviously was not fun to pay. But overall, we weren't too stressed about it, really.
Yeah, I would have much rather, like I was saying, when you got to spend $2,000. We had a something go on with a pipe. They had to go to the floor and drill in it and fix a pipe. It's like $2,000 later, and it's like, man, I could have got a really, really nice big screen TV. It's what I'm thinking, you know, with football season here.
I would say the whole shutting off the water thing wasn't that big a deal. But I would say that when the air conditioning went out, that was, even though there was a warranty on it and it was out for a week in the middle of the summer,
90 degrees.
just had a
baby.
newborn. Jacob's wedding was like the next day, bouncing around from hotels and staying with family. That was definitely worse because.
Now, did you get a warranty when you purchased the existing house?
Yes, I did. My realtor actually had gotten me one.
Did you use it on the hot water heater?
I did. Unfortunately, I think the hot water heater broke in June, and my 1-year warranty had ended in May. So,
Dang.
Yeah, right.
and
That's
that
not
was
good.
definitely fiance and I were definitely talking. Do we want to get this again? I think we used it twice
Yeah, it makes
last
you
year.
angry, man.
Yeah,
When stuff like that doesn't work, especially you got a warranty and it's like, by the way, we'll be back in a little bit, like in 3 weeks with your part to fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little. Now, any neighbor issues? Now, we're not telling where you live, and you don't have to go deep. Like the one on the right's a real, you don't have to go there. But any neighbor issues that you're struggling with?
Luckily not. No, neighbors they're quiet. That's all I could really ask for. They don't bother me too much.
Okay, so you're a quiet guy. What do you got? Any neighbor issues?
No neighbor
Now,
issues
you got
for
a
me?
dog. Both of you have dogs. No issues with dogs.
No. They
No.
just like to bark at each other when they're both outside, and that's about it.
I got an interesting one here. I said we were going to end this segment, but I got a couple more here. Landscaping can be tricky for the first year or two, and some plants may need replaced. How's the landscaping been going, Joe?
Oh wow. Well, yeah, I put a fence around the house, which was
You did it.
I did
You're
that.
a nut.
And,
Now, I would have paid for it. You went out and did it.
yeah,
You did the whole, what do you call that thing that you got
the
to dig deep?
auger.
Yeah, you notice I
two
did
2.5
mortgages.
feet deep, foot wide holes. I think it was about 30 of them. Luckily, I had some family members to help me out with a little bit there, but that was one thing I would definitely consider having someone else do next time if I had to get a fence put in.
Do you feel you're saved by doing that a lot?
Yeah,
You
I
did.
definitely saved a couple grand in there.
How's your dad feeling?
Dad.
Yeah,
He's getting better. He's getting better. Yeah,
He's feeling okay.
Back's
from
getting a little
helping.
better.
Yeah, right.
I would say the sad story is definitely my grass though. I put in fresh sod, I believe last March, and now it's probably 90% dead right now. So
Yeah, that's
I'm
tough.
I'm looming. I'm about to overseed the lawn, but we're just fingers crossed this time around.
It's really no sprinkling system.
No
So
irrigation
it's
system.
really hard. You know,
Mhm.
that was the maintaining part. How about any struggles with landscaping that you see? Do y'all have weeds in your yard though? Let's start there. Do y'all have weeds? Like if I come up to your
Yeah.
yard, do you have weeds on there?
Oh,
I
yeah.
got some weeds.
You boys
yeah.
got to get out and handle it. You know, that's easy stuff. And it's, you know, it's go spray it, go handle it. The weed control. I'm bringing it up because I saw a bunch in my yard the other day. So I was out there pulling some weeds. 704-412-2727. We're weed talking, pulling the weeds at fortheplan.com. We are done with that part of the journey. I didn't really like it. Those were all the bad stuff. Can we talk about how much more your net worth went up because you bought a house? That's the highlight. And we both know, all of us know, that you both have made decent appreciation getting into home ownership a year and a half ago in a little bit of a stale market. As rates go down, it's even more important that people can jump in as these prices completely continue to go. Now, we're going to shift a little bit. Move up buyer is the next category. So we have a sheet. You can go to fortheplan.com, get all 6 categories where we can help plug in. First one being first-time home buyers. What I would point out on that, Mortgage Planner University is a big hit. Jacob and I had recorded 6 hours of good training, man. No, real good. Yeah. I know you guys, have you listened to it? Neither one of you?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I want an hour out of you. Come on, check out the Mortgage Planner
got that.
University. You got an
Yeah.
hour. Okay, you got an hour in. Okay, good.
Ride home today.
Right home today.
Yeah.
You live
Where
10
you live?
minutes from work. Now, so check out Mortgage Planner University. We have a first-time homebuyer workbook. Pre-qualification with a soft pull credit inquiry is different than getting your credit hit hard, meaning that no one knows we did it. It's just basically looking through the window. And it's usually a very good accuracy from the mortgage side, which is lower than if you were to go check a credit card or something like that. We're going to come in with a lower score, higher risk buying a house. I would have 2 payments saved as well as consider HOAs. Either of you have HOAs going on?
I do not.
And you do, yeah. So you got to consider that in the payment. Some of them can be significant, $400, $500. You know, so it can be really significant. Some can be $20, you know, or zero, like Joe has. But also including prepaying in the budget, I think softens that. Remember that scary interest statement I brought up that shows you what you're really borrowing. Adding $25, $35, $40, $50, rounding up is what I call it, like the holidays you do it at the fast food joints. Round up on your mortgage. We have a calculator at fortheplan.com for you as that as well. And the other one that we put on here is first-time homebuyers is seller concessions, which both of you took advantage of asking the seller to pay $8,000 closing costs, got you both better deals on the loan. Now, let's move on to move-up buyers. You're already talking about it, Joe. You're already talking about moving up. You've been in the house. You're going to come around. You're getting married soon. Can we stop for a minute and say congratulations?
Yeah, thank you.
You're almost there. The wedding is coming up October
12th. Just under 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we are going to celebrate, by the way, remember, at a Hornet opener game. We're going to go check that out and enjoy it. Hopefully the Hornets are doing a little better than the Panthers. However, the Panthers did great yesterday.
Yeah.
They really did. Now, move up buyer. You're already planning on it. You're saving money set aside monthly because you also did a buy down. So it's allowing you to save some extra cash on that temporary buy down. So save some extra cash. What loan did you go with initially on the first purchase?
With the first purchase, I went with an FHA loan.
So knowing that you cannot do it again, what is your plan or thoughts that you have going? Have you gone this far as to say, how am I going to capture this next mortgage on my house?
Ideally, well, I'd like to refinance to a conventional before I move out of my current primary. One, I would like to have a little bit lower mortgage insurance because with the FHA, it's going to be a little bit higher and it's set in for the life of the loan.
And after a year, we can count your equity. So you're going to have, maybe a 10% equity position, which would be pretty low PMI insurance versus mortgage insurance premium that FHA charges standard one-time fee and never goes away. The conventional loan allow you to have monthly PMI, but also disappears when you have 20% equity.
Yes,
It
correct.
goes to zero. So huge point. So the goal would be refinance that. And did you get the 5-year pledge?
Of course.
You did, yeah. So Element Home Loans offers a 5-year deal where you can refinance with us. And your closing costs are reduced, I would say, by about 65%. and huge credit on there. So it encourages people to take that lower rate. So you'll take advantage of that. Move from FHA to conventional, lowering your PMI at half the cost because of the 5-year pledge with Element Home Loans. Excellent move. Next house, will you buy how? FHA, or will you go 3% down conventional?
I think ideally, I would love to go 3% conventional because my fiance is not actually on the mortgage for this current house. So we'll still be able to use those first-time home buyer benefits of conventional for the next property, just being that she's a first-time home buyer by herself.
Pretty interesting. So you'll be able to capture a couple houses. Now that would also only invest 3% down. I know both of you have gotten money back out of this house, meaning an appreciation. And one thing I wanted to mention that you do love about the properties was instead of renting, both of you had said before the show, I like to be able to change stuff. Like change it around. So that's kind of interesting, especially moving up as a buyer. There's a lot more we're going to cover. We got first-time home buyers, move-up buyer, investor, vacation home buyer, empty nester, senior. We're going down. I may need to bring my mom on this show, see what her plans are. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to The Plan, 704-412-2727 or fortheplan.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Plan. This is Brad Roach, the mortgage planner for theplan.com or 704-412-2727 direct dial to the show. We'll be happy to answer any questions. Today I'm joined with Joe and Bradley in the studio. Jacob, we're missing you, brother, but I know you're watching. Feel free to go to fortheplan.com, get an update on any of our past shows as well. We've been talking about move-up buyer. Joe has got a plan set, and I think that is a great way to get it started by having that plan. And you all moved into you're a different stage. Because you moved into a house as a move-up buyer. I wouldn't consider that. You all bought for the purpose of building family in this property. A little different.
Yep. I would say the main goal was we knew we were having Graham, and the next thing was I don't want to have to move or be forced to move if I don't have enough space if we have a second kid.
Yeah. So you've got you were able to now. Interesting on your exit out of your lease. I found that to be an interesting kind of story that some people may not know, but you had actually rented a house in Huntersville. Yep. Beautiful house, great property, great neighborhood. You had been there as well. You saw where
Definitely
I'm talking about.
house.
Yeah, neighborhood's awesome. What was the restaurant in there?
Harvey's.
Harvey's is a great restaurant.
Harvey's.
You can walk up to it and all that. So it's a really cool spot to be. And you negotiated a 2-year lease. And we're able to save some cash on negotiating that, and the guy was into it. So you did that. Now, later on, wife got pregnant, and you wanted to move because during that time, the lease was going to expire, and you didn't want to stay there long-term kind of thing.
Yeah, the lease was going to expire pretty much the same month
That
Graham
she was due. Yeah.
So
that would have made things a little, meaning I need to go settle somewhere so when this baby comes home, we got to be somewhere, or we need to extend the lease, and that just wasn't in the plan. You wanted to purchase as well. So you were able to contact the landlord and negotiate getting out early.
Yep, and he was really nice about it. And
So see, some people I don't even know if they'd ask. Now, this wasn't a corporation guy. Like I'm not talking about a Skyrise down in Charlotte where you signed a 12-month lease, but I am talking about a landlord that may be looking for, as rents go up, to be able to re-rent that property as well and move on as well. Worth the ask anyway is my point.
Yep.
So one of the things that we're talking about is move-up buyer. So how long do you plan with your purchase? What is your plan year-wise? How long do you plan? Joe's pretty quick. You're going to be out in 2. Getting married, moving into another house. Your story is a little bit different. Moved in with baby in hand.
Yep.
And what's the plan?
Little open-ended. I mean, we don't know about when the next kid is going to come or when we're thinking of doing that. So that's kind of the next thing, and then I think we'll probably decide based on that. But if I would guess, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, this
so.
is a good home to sit in, and you'll be through all the new construction in a matter of months, and I think you'll see a lot of value there. So a little bit longer term, meaning 3 to 5 years versus the 2-year plan that you had, but also different stages. We're going to sift into in move-up buyer. I want to hit one more point. Cool program that we have where we can use your equity, not only with an equity line, but we have a transaction going where we're using the program called Knock that we use and run it really, really well. It's going awesome. It's actually cleared to close. They're going to be funding. Now, the client on that, if you know a lot of details on the Knock program, it's pretty slick.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a great one.
Well, some of the benefits that you know about or how that works, if you don't mind explaining that a little bit.
Yeah. So it just pretty much allows you to, let's say you're selling a house and you have great equity in the house, which a lot of people do. And, you're looking to buy your next property, but you're still waiting for the first one to sell. We could access that equity that's in the house and move that towards, using that towards a down payment, or current client, they have paying off credit cards and things like that.
Now, some people are going to think you're talking about a home equity line of credit or HELOC, second mortgage. This isn't that.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So you could do that. You're going to have a payment on it. Now, the benefit of this loan that you're talking about has 6 months. Like, here's what I'm thinking. Like, think about you're okay, let's use you as an example, Bradley. New baby's coming. It's a few years down the road, whatever. We got another baby coming. I got plenty of equity in this house now, but man, I got a family going on and I got to buy the next one. We want to upgrade or move up. With that money locked down, I can give you an equity line, which now I'm going to add that to the payment you're paying already. So now, hey, here's $50,000 to move to your next house. Whatever line of credit you were to do, you're going to pay $300 to $400 there, plus your current mortgage. Plus, you're going to go buy the new one and have that one. So, you need to qualify for all of that. Or this program allows you to have no payment for 6 months on the current house you have. So think about it this way: you want to buy another house, and you haven't listed your home yet. Not ready to. You still have the family making dinners, breakfast, getting ready, right? There's a lot going on with a house, but they'll give you the money in there. And as I would call it a line of credit. It's kind of a second mortgage. They do lien the house, but they're also going to include 6 months payment that you don't have to pay, meaning in the loan. So now I would consider that similar to a bridge loan. I suppose you could do that on an equity line of credit. You could just draw out the interest yourself and pay your payment. But they really make it easy for you to have a lot of less stress on buying your next house and accessing the equity when you're not quite ready. And it really gives you almost a 6-month move time to be able to sell the house and buy the house. Pretty cool. Now, when you sell it, you'd pay off both loans. First mortgage you have plus the knock loan, that would be like an equity access. Any money that you didn't use for those payments gets refunded to you. And then you're out. It's just a end of it. So move up buyer's pretty slick. Now, Joe, you've dealt with a lot of investors. That's our next category I'm going to move into here. Investor program. When I say investor, what program do you think of?
Right off the bat, debt service coverage ratio.
You're going formal on me.
I want to bring it out. So DSCR loan.
DSCR loan. What is the name of it again?
It is a debt service coverage ratio.
Which basically means that if you're buying a rental house, like let's say you wanted to buy the home you're in now, okay? If we wanted to buy that house, what do you think you could rent your house for?
Right now, I think about $2,000.
Okay, so $2,000 a month. So in order for the deal to work, how does this play out on a DSCR loan?
Yeah, so with a DSCR loan, they're like your regular conventional FHA, or unlike your conventional FHA loans, they're not looking at your debts or income whatsoever.
They don't care about you.
Yeah, they're only worried about the house. So essentially, the DSCR ratio, they want to see. So in my example, if my mortgage payment is $2,000 or projected mortgage payment is $2,000, they want to see at least $2,000 coming in to cover that.
You bring in kind of an interesting point. You're on a temporary buy down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it isn't going to go off your current payment. It's going to go off when that rate final move, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So they're going to look at a 1-to-1 ratio. Are you paying out $2,000, and can you collect $2,000 in monthly rent?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's off balance, so meaning you owe $2,000 a month and you collect $2,200, all the better to you. You're going to get a better rate. But if it came in at your payments $2,000, you get a rented out for $1,800, and the appraisal has a lot to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to get a worse rate.
Yes, correct.
And that's the negatives to it. But we are doing a lot of that. We have investor property seminar that you can go to at fortheplan.com. We actually have that available every Wednesday and every Saturday night that you can log on. It's 1 hour. You can pause it just like Netflix. You can get up, take a snack, take a break, come back to it, play with the dog, do whatever you do, and come back to it and watch the investment property seminar. We go over a lot of deep stuff. Also, investor workbook. We have 7 stages of buying rental properties. We actually break down 4 different categories of the types of rental properties that you can get, whether it's cash flow, more of an equity position that you're trying to gain from that. All of these will include prepaying on the mortgage, but also, most importantly, you'll get a consultation with us to walk you through some of the extras that go along with buying a rental property, such as LLC, There's a lot to it. We've done several calls with investors. We do a lot of that. We have a big event coming up. When is that?
October 24th coming up.
You
here.
sure that's the right date?
Yes.
You don't wanna
I
do
was
that
looking
on the
at.
air.
I was doing a lot of marketing on it. Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So October 24th, that's a Thursday night.
Thursday night,
6 p.m. We have our office, open house at our office for a bunch of investors that will come by. We had over 100 people come through. Bradley, you've been at that as well.
Yeah.
We have a good time. We got lots of pizza. We got free drinks. Never goes wrong there. You get a lot of people coming in, don't want investment property, but they're drinking. I don't think so. No, that's not how people
they
are.
loosen up a little bit.
No.
Maybe they will think about it.
But they most are investors, vendors, cash buyers. We have some mortgage specials that go on in that event as well. So if you're interested or investing in real estate or want to learn more, maybe mingle with some different investors, cash investors. We had one that specialized in 1031 exchanges. We've had some people there that do rehab work before you sell it, and then they lien the house, and then when you sell it, you pay them so they can get your house ready to list if you're cash strapped to be able to do that. So lots of different things that can happen at that event. You're welcome to join us. Go to fortheplan.com and you can register. We do need a reservation because that includes your drink ticket and your good time. And it's at the lake. You can't miss that. We're located in Davidson, Element Home Loans, fortheplan.com. Any questions, comments, sly remarks, you can go to fortheplan.com. Leave them for us. We'll catch them on the next show. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to The Plan. Back to The Plan. This is Brad Roach, the Mortgage Planner, 704-412-2727, or go to fortheplan.com. You can type in the number 4. I got something cool to tell you. You can type in the number 4, or you can type out FOR, either one.
Wow.
They both go there. You can find us anywhere. Google us, fortheplan.com. Check out our reviews. Some of our most important thing I can think you can do in getting a mortgage. Check out who you're dealing with and know the experience. We've closed over 10,000 mortgages. We'd love to guide your way there. This is a fun one. Vacation home buyer. In Mortgage Planner University, one of the best properties, Brad, you'll remember this, was the property in West Palm that I bought as a second home.
Yep.
It was one of my best investments that we had ever had on there. Any thoughts of vacation homes that you guys have had at all? Not yet. Kind of weird, right? Question to ask you when you're going, I just got my first one, man. We're trying to buy an investment. Now, it's not that you don't want one. It's a matter of, they cost more down payment. You were talking about moving up, and that can be a 3% down loan. Well, in turn, you have a vacation home, you're going to need 20% down in most cases. So it adds up quite a bit. HELOC options would be available if somebody's interested in buying that. But we help with Airbnb, VRBO. That also works on the DSCR.
Yes, correct.
And that's kind of a neat way that you can do it. So short-term rentals, we can help out with that as well. Now, we're going to move in. There isn't too much more besides there's a pretty lake on here that you can look at. So if you'd like the guide where the 6 stages and different things that we can help you with, go to fortheplan.com. Just click on your, not the about, but is this you or someone you know category, and you will be able to download the booklet and check it out. Empty nesters. This is me. This is right up my alley. Yeah, I'm empty nester.
For a little while now.
Well, I got a dog. I got Bentley. Bentley comes to work, and he's fun, but we are empty nesters. This is interesting because we put one of the things I'm thinking of as we have it, upgrades. And it's like, you have so many bedrooms in a house that when you have a family, that like you're looking at Bradley, you're talking about moving up to be able to support a bigger family. Well, sooner or later, that starts to come down like it is for me. And you're like, wow, this is a big old house. I don't really need all this space. Well, some of it can be upgraded into different things that you could do for the house. Have you all changed anything? Do you all start with you? Change anything in your house? Like, do you have a ping pong table in the dining room? Do you have a like lounge chairs in the kitchen? Do you do anything weird in the house? And I mean, because do you have an office space that's set up? How did you, was there a bonus room or any space that you were able to kind of modify and use? Any changes you've been able to do?
Really most of the work we've been doing is outside. We put a little kibosh on, or pause on a lot of the projects that are going inside till after the wedding. But really one of the things is kind of just filling up the house, with furniture and things like that. We have that's kind of one thing we're working towards is, of course, furniture can get expensive.
That's a lot. You're right. That's a lot of added expense when you're doing furniture as well.
Especially going from an apartment to a 1,500 square foot house, yeah, there's a lot of space to fill up in there.
What else did you do outside besides your bad sod and a fence?
Right now, yeah. So I put a fire pit in there.
You did. How is it far enough away from the house?
Luckily, yes,
Okay.
I did measure that out. I'm currently in the stages of building my fiance a big flower bed. That's taken a little bit longer than expected.
How big is it?
I think it's 8 feet by 4 feet or so. A little bit
Wow,
designed,
okay,
so it's
so
a decent sized one.
Are we doing just flowers? No, like vegetables?
I think that's up to Kiara.
You don't-
She's
you don't
yeah.
care what
I
goes
build
in
it. She can put whatever she wants in there.
You don't care what goes in it.
Yeah.
I got to build the box.
Yeah, just build the box.
You
and
know,
she
I,
can figure
I
that
saw
out.
one that was for that you know how we have our trash cans. We have a recycle bin, a trash bin, and they build it so it sits on. You've seen this.
Yeah,
It
I've seen
sits on
Kiara
top
sent
of
me.
it.
Kiara, my fiance, she has sent me that also as my next project. As
Oh,
well.
she wants another one.
Yeah.
See, they build it right above the trash, so you kind of shove the trash
Mhm.
cans in, and then the flower box or vegetable box or whatever
Yep.
you're growing sits right above it. What are you doing after the wedding? You come build us one.
Yeah, I
At
know.
my house.
I was
Check it
saying
out.
he's
I'll
got to show
finish
you
that one.
If I think that's kind of cool. What else you do to the house? Anything else? Fire pit you did a fence in there.
Yeah, I built
shed.
myself a shed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Built
was
a shed.
yeah, I did.
Yep.
From Amazon.
nice one.
Amazon shed. It gets the job done.
It's nice. You've seen it.
Yeah, it's a quality shed.
It's called build it
It's good.
myself.
Yeah.
There's that's one of my problems. I like to build stuff by myself, but
It's
then
a problem. I think it's a good thing.
It's good, but
who tells you
yeah.
this is a problem?
when it gets tough, when you can't do stuff by yourself, that's when you realize you need more people.
It definitely can pay to do some of these improvements. You know,
Mhm.
there's a big part. It's funny. Have you done anything to your house that comes to mind besides having a baby come aboard?
Irrigation system.
Yeah, yeah.
Irrigation
You put all
system.
that in.
Yep. The sprinklers, fence, and just
Any
like
painting?
you said.
Any painting inside that you guys have done? Yeah, you did the.
Oh yeah, we
baby
did
room.
the nursery. Did the board
It's
and
not called a
batten.
baby room. It's called a nursery.
Yeah,
for those
nursery.
listening. So you did something pretty cool with that. Now that you think about it, so customize. This is a big part of owning a house. You can do what you want with it. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You guys did. You painted the room and also put some wood at the bottom and kind of cut it in half.
Board and batten.
What do you call that? Describe
Board
that
and
a little
batten. It's like when you see panels. Usually you'll see it in like a dining room or something like that. It's like panels that there's basically a board kind of in the middle of the ceiling and the floor, and then there's the
Panels.
boards in between. Yeah, and it makes panels.
Very,
right?
very
Yeah,
popular.
and you
now.
also
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that kind of my point in having you describe that, you also did like great wallpaper on there, which
Winnie the Pooh.
yeah, when you got to have Winnie the Pooh in there,
Yeah.
but it makes the room. And I think when people are looking to purchase a house, remember how I said, did you do anything weird? Like you got like a ping pong table in the dining room? That would be a lot different. And I'm joking around with that, but like making it more of a sports bar. The guy across the street from us a while back that lived there, he had a TV in his dining, like two of them in the dining room, like a sports bar. But he had the dining room table. But you both are looking like that's okay. That isn't weird.
I'd say
it's kinda
that's a
cool.
I
good
guess it
question.
depends on the setup.
I'd
It
say
sounds
that's
interesting.
That's a
Okay,
good
I'm
question
intrigued.
for Jacob. I feel like he was a little bit more experimental when he would design in his house a little bit.
Well, he's done some upgrades
He's
too.
done
We've
some-
talked about
for
that,
sure.
but it's interesting how outside is a big part of upgrades that you wanted to do right away where people are living, but also some of the inside stuff that makes it a little bit more personable, not too personable, but family oriented, where it'd be easy for someone to be able to move in there. And so we were talking about, I don't know how we got on you guys again, but we're talking about empty nesters. I'm not doing anything to the house right now. We're enjoying empty space. It's big. I have a big dog, so we needed the space. No, I don't see us moving either. You know, empty nesters, it talks about upgrades or downsizing. You know, if you are in our season, I would call it of empty nester, it's a lot different when you captured an interest rate at 3, right? Like, so if I were to downsize, I'd be going to a smaller house at 5 or 6. Kind of tough. You know, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's tough to leave. Am I really downsizing? I'm upsizing my payment and downsizing my house. That kind of sounds stupid.
Yeah.
So if you want better advice, 704-412-2070. We'll tell it like it is, buddy. Go to fortheplan.com. Now, the next one is seniors. You know, there's a lot of different loans. You know, as you prepare, right? You're getting married. You had a baby, and I've mentioned it a few times, but I want to reiterate that it's different stages in the journey that you're in. And there's a lot that comes with that. As I pull up seniors, it talks about a trust and a will, having that in place for what happens if something were to happen to you. Those are real things you have to start looking at as a dad now.
Yep.
What happens if something were to happen to me? Does it go to probate court? Do I have a will? So all of those things cost money in advising and how to do things. Like if you were to get hurt, do you have disability insurance that would cover while you're out, temporary disability? And some of the employers will offer that. But I think as you get older, you have to fine tune that. And I'm not getting old. I don't feel like I'm getting old anyway, but I see that I'm visiting my will and trust almost every 2 years to update it, see where things are, making sure that I have it accurately. And I think that's less and less at your age bracket, but it would be more about protection right now, making sure that maybe a will is in place so that it expedites the process if something were to happen to you, that your spouse, significant other, kids would have that. Peace of mind, I think, would be a part. The next one is so if we don't do them, but we can advise you or recommend you to an advisor that will help you. But I wouldn't do the doawill.com kind of thing. I wouldn't do that. It's too important. Too much stuff you're leaving. Now, next one would be a reverse mortgage, where if you owned a house free and clear, we have representatives in our office that will help with us. We don't do them here personally, but they will help you. We can refer you to someone else that will do those. This is where you own the house free and clear, or a good amount, and they pay you back monthly as the money goes up. The other option would be HELOCs and some things like that of quality of life. Now, if you're interested in taking a look at this, or something I mentioned, you want to get a better plan together in any of the stages, whether it's first-time home buyers, move-up buyer, an investor, vacation home buyer, we do consider a little different than an investor, empty nester, and senior. If that fits you or someone you are thinking of that may be interested in getting a plan together, like Joe, when I asked you, how you getting out of this one and getting into the next one, you had a good plan. And there's things in place there that he can make happen in his real estate portfolio. And we'd love to help you with that. We jump on the screen. We do a lot of comparisons for you. 704-412-2727. Couple highlights before we get out of here. We want to highlight October 24th investor event. That is at Lake Norman. Go to fortheplan.com to register for that. If you're interested in mingling with the investors of Lake Norman, you'll want to be at that event. And I mentioned free drinks, so we'll cap the audience. We won't be able to have everybody come if it gets crazy here. Number 2 is investment property seminar, webinar. You can watch that Wednesdays and Saturdays. That's at fortheplan.com. Any of our past shows also are listed there. One highlight that's also on the site, been on there for the last few weeks, is a prepayment calculator, where if you apply $25, $30, $40, $50, $60 per month extra, the impact and how many years that can save you. And on average, if you were to take a $300,000 loan, add $50 a month, you're cutting us down about 7-8 years off the loan. So it's a huge, huge piece. We constantly promote it. Better your equity position, get you in a better plan, and making sure that we go in the right direction. Well, this was fun, boys. Thank you for being here, Bradley. Thank you for being here, Joe.
Thanks for having us.
It was kind of fun. We'll bring you back. You did good. Yeah. And we learned a lot. We broke down all the different stages in your journey. If you know of someone traveling in the real estate journey, or someone who may fit into one of these categories, be sure to reach out to the plan. We'd be honored to help you or your friends and the people you care about. We'll see you next show.